Methodically dark with a hint of humour doesn't begin to describe what author Joanne Macgregor has put together in her latest offering, Dark Whispers. Rhythmic storytelling propels the reader against their will into a world of psychologist Megan Wright. But before I let the cat out of the bag, I'm joined by the author. Joanne, good morning. Welcome.
Morning, nice to be here.
For the benefit of our viewers, a brief summary.
It's about a psychologist who's working in Johannesburg in private practice, and she uncovers in a session of hypnosis that one of her clients has been mutilated and tortured by a doctor that she had an operation performed on her by. And she sets about investigating this, not knowing initially whether the memory is true, and that leads her into the hands of a very dark and dangerous man.
The protagonist, Megan Wright, is complex in the way you put the character together, but ultimately I feel her needs are very basic. Ultimately, at the end of it, she wants to be loved, she wants to be accepted. There's a couple of issues that she's struggling with, and it's interesting that every time she sits down with a patient, it unearths those little insecurities.
Well, we are ourselves, you know, psychologists are ourselves when we're with our practice. She really wants to do good and she wants to help people, but she winds up doing it, I think, too much for her own good.
At what point did you have to kind of be careful? Because with the, I think it's the photocopier patient, there's a moment where he talks about his infidelity with the Chinese girl and she has to stop herself from fantasizing about it. Then there's a moment with the client, the new client, Alta, I think, that she also has to stop herself. She seems to have some character flaws in one way or another, and I don't know if it was purposefully put like that so you can, I don't know if she's a professional at the end of the day, but she still struggles with very personal issues.
She's human, you know, I think she tries to do her best and she tries to work ethically, but she's human and so she has faults and she makes mistakes and vulnerabilities. I think she tries to bracket herself to keep herself separate from her client's story, but she doesn't always manage that boundary.
Did you have to tone down the humor? Because between Patience and Megan, it's incredibly funny. When it's out, that's probably the funniest bits in the book.
Yeah, I got some feedback that I should tone down the humor because I think the reader wasn't clear on how it sat with the thriller aspect. But naturally, I enjoy humor, and I find in life, even when we're in the middle of tragedy or horror, there's usually something funny. So yes, it is sprinkled throughout the book.
How did you get Mike Nichol to put the word on the jacket?
Mike Nichol, unbeknownst to me, who's one of my favorite authors and a local hero in crime fiction, had read the book as an external reader for one of the publishers and had done an editing report which I had used to improve my manuscript. And when I asked him, because I know him from some of the festivals, he said, yes, sure. And within 5 minutes he'd given me the blurb for the book because he'd read it and really enjoyed it.
Why is this premise so refreshing? Because I don't know what it is, but I'm used to when somebody's mutilated that it's a lot more sinister, and often you think that they're dead bodies and all this other stuff. But here well, technically she's a victim. She's suffering from some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder, and I found the premise incredibly refreshing.
Well, it's based on a true story.
Okay.
Well, not based on a true story, but sparked off by a true story of a really deranged doctor in Australia who mutilated and assaulted and abused and molested about 500 women before he was actually brought to book. Yeah, one woman came forward with her story and then everybody started coming forward. So that was what sparked the idea for me, that horrific idea that you can put yourself into the hands of a doctor, trusting him, and that trust can be abused. And what would I do if that happened to one of my clients? So I think that's why it's refreshing. It's real.
There's a pace here that you hit on the nose, you get it right. From the opening moment when you pick up the book, you seem to get that rhythm from Megan Wright, the dialogue between her and her mom. So you understand that their relationship is flawed. Then you get this relationship between Megan and Patience, and you understand that in many ways I almost feel as if Patience is Megan's mom, or a sense, or Megan acknowledged that kind of motherly nature within Patience. Then there's this relationship between Megan and her boyfriend, and each for me seems like the pace is natural.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I enjoy writing dialogue and I enjoy the interactions between the characters. I really enjoyed writing from the perspective of this dangerous doctor. Those words just flowed and he kind of progressively unravels as the book progresses. See,
Are we going to see sequels? Are we going to see follow-ups? Is Megan, will she be developed into her own character?
I hope so. I think there's a potential for a series there. What do you think?
I think so, and we're going to get people to write in and tell us. I hope to see Megan in another form. We're going to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining me. That's author Joanne Macgregor with her latest offering, Dark Whispers. It's available in all good bookstores. It's actually a fantastic read. Go and read it, and the premise is totally refreshing. Morning Live at sabc.co.za. We take an ad break. We'll be back after this.